Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, we're taking on Vlad, the new Fusion champion. We're going to see what he can do. This is the test server, so I'm a day before any of you guys will see him released. But Raid give us access to a couple of new things. There is Constantine the Dayborn in the test server as well. He's another Void legendary. He does empower Vlad, but the chances of you getting 2 Void legendaries, damn, it's unlikely. So I will do a separate guide on Constantine, but I won't showcase Vlad with Constantine for this video because it feels unlikely that many people are going to get that combo going on. So Vlad the Nightborn, what do we think? I mean, he's got this kind of pulsing heart, blood red sword, kind of cool visuals. I'm not sure about the face, honestly, but that aside, you know, they've done a good job on the armor. Kind of looks like he wants to wreak havoc, doesn't he? He's got an extra long cover here. I'm not sure what that's covering up. We can't quite see. But anyway, Vlad the Nightborn, what's going on with him? So I will say to you, they have tweaked him since he was first dropped on the test server. They've buffed him. I was pushing. I was cheeky. I was like, buff his skill set more than you care about his multipliers. That's what we want changed. A slight buff to a skill set. They weren't having any of that. None of that. It's purely multipliers buffing, but still it's better than where he was. So we can kind of show that off. So what we got here then, A1, attacks one enemy, decreases the target's max HP by 30% of the damage. So we need it to hit because the max HP reduction is based on how hard he hits for, and you get 30% of that off. Obviously, that's going to be good for someone like Scarab Boss, where you're trying to reduce the max HP shield away. It's also okay in a couple of the faction war bosses where you're trying to bring down their max health if they kind of full heal and stuff. Not so much for the undead one, though, honestly. So I don't feel like it's massively impactful there. It's okay. Also heals. This is the better part of it. Also heals this champion by 30% of the damage that he does. Now, just think for a second in Clan Boss. Yeah, Clan Boss, you run lifesteal gear or you run a leech champion because you want the heal from that hit, right? So this is actually a nice juicy heal in Clan Boss to keep someone topped up, you know, aside from needing all that lifesteal gear. So this is kind of an interesting A1. It's not bad. The A2 then, AoE, we need this to hit really hard to make this champion viable at all, in my opinion. So if you book him out, 100% chance of placing a leech on an AoE. So anyone who hits someone with leech on heals. Anyone in your team. Doesn't have to be just Vlad. Anyone who hits an enemy with leech on gets some healing going on. This makes him kind of viable for any wave content where you're not one-shotting stuff. Yeah, where you need to be topping up your health. Albeit, you heal for a percentage, I think it's 18% of the damage that you do. And against kind of general wave content, if you've got, let's say, a support champion, they don't get a massive benefit from that leech. Okay, they don't. Bosses, you get a bigger benefit because if something like a War Master procs, you get a big spike of healing. You don't get as big a benefit from wave content, albeit it's better than no healing, right? So an AoE leech is not bad. This is a kind of interesting part of his mechanic. 100% chance if you book him of stealing 50% of the turn meter from champions in Bannerlords, Sacred Order, or High Elves. Let's have a look at them quick. Bannerlords. Who do we care about in Bannerlords? Who are we going to see a lot of in general waves and in Arena? So in Arena, we might see a bit of Asala. We might see a little bit of Stagnite in lower level stuff. We might see some Sethalia. We might see some Raglins. And in stuff like Doom Tower, I think there's waves with Black Knights and Faction Wars, Black Knights, stuff like that. So there's a few there that might be popping up. In High Elves, we're going to see a bunch of Apothecary at lower level, some Tyrell at lower level in the Arena. We might see a little bit of Battle Sage. We're going to see a whole bunch of, obviously, Arbiter and Lysandra. So we'll be stealing 50% of their turn meter, which, providing you go first, is actually solid. But the argument here is, if you're going first and the enemy team comprises of Lysandra and Arbiter, you really should just be one-shotting them. They're not tanky type champions. So stealing their turn meter is kind of solid. But if you're in that position anyway, you should just be killing them, honestly. In terms of wave content, we do see a bunch of Pixnial type waves. We do see a bit of Elenaril popping up in Doom Tower and stuff like that. Maybe a bit of Yannicka. So not terrible. And in Sacred Order, again, if we pop ourselves down here, we're not going to see a whole bunch of these rares. Maybe some Templars pop up here and there. In the arena, we might see a bit of Deke. We might see anyone else here. Not really. Maybe Shamal a little bit. We'll see a bit of Astralon. We might see a bit of Martyr at lower levels. Yeah, and we probably might see a bit of Cardiel at higher levels. So there's a few champions that kind of fall into the mix. But obviously the big ones, if we're talking arena, would just be Arbiter. But the argument is, if you're stealing their turn meter, they should be dead anyway. But for wave content, it's an interesting mechanic because you only got to hit 2, and then you've got 100% turn meter steal, and you're going again, which is solid. If it's not these factions that I've just kind of called out, then 100% chance of just decreasing their turn meter by 50%. That's big, okay? But you need accuracy to do that. And here's where we get to that kind of quandary of accuracy versus damage. Is he your damage dealer? Is he someone who just applies debuffs or slows people down? I mean, reducing turn meter by 50% is a really solid way of approaching a wave in the arena. So you go your Arbiter into Vlad. Vlad applies Leech. He also drops their turn meter by 50%. If they've got things like block debuffs on, it will still drop their turn meter. It can't stop that. But you need the high accuracy and high speed to do it, which means you've foregone your damage, but then someone else comes in with the damage. Okay, so it's slowing the enemy down so that your damage can have their turn. And I feel like that's where you're going to see this guy use more than a straight hitter. But still, we'll test his damage as well. The A3 then, double hitter. The first hit can place decreased defense, which means the second hit will hit much harder. The second hit can place block active skills, which is a great ability, but it's only a single target. That's a shame. I would love, I know this is what I was pushing for. I was like, damn, make this skill do less damage, but make it an AoE, and then you've got a champion. Then you've got a Void legendary, in my opinion, because AoE drop defense, we love it, and we actually kind of need it for Undead. There's only one other champion in the mix. And an AoE block active skills would be sick. It would be an absolutely brilliant ability. But this is very much a wave style ability. It's very much Doom Tower waves, arena waves, single target block active skills. Yeah, I mean, you freeze one person out of the game. But honestly, is that enough? Is that enough? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But yeah, we'll see how much damage this does as well. And then he's got this passive, revives on death, places revive on death buff, not just revives on death, for 2 turns when he kills someone. It's kind of big, actually. So, you know, if he takes someone out, then you've got this whole thing of, are you building him for damage, or are you building him to use his abilities? A bit like Astralon in a way. Astralon does a lot of damage, but he's also got some great debuffs, which you need to build accuracy for. So it's kind of like, which way do you build him? Now, this second part only works if you've got Constantine the Dayborn in the team. It's actually a really cool mechanic, but, you know, to pull another Void Legendary out of the bag, I mean, we know how hard it is to get a specific Void Legendary, even if they're on a 10 times, as I went for Necrit yesterday. So we know how tough that is to do, and there's no way to get him. Like, if he was a normal Legendary, there's way more chance you're going to pick him up. But as a Void Legendary, it's going to be pretty rare to get this combo going. So if he's on the same team, he fully heals and flips turn meter up 50%. So imagine killing someone with his A2, stealing 50% turn meter, plus billing 50% turn meter, and a full heal. Like, it becomes pretty good, actually. It's quite a cool mechanic, but I'm kind of writing it off for this video because the chances of people getting that are slim. And then he's got a crit rate in arena battles aura. So they've obviously thought of him as an arena champion, okay? I don't feel like that's where he's going to get most of his playtime. Unless he goes as a high accuracy, go second in your team's type of champ, using this mechanic here, pushing back the speed booster of the enemy team, and then placing Leech for someone else to come in over the top. Just interesting. I'm going to do a second video on Constantine, but it is worth saying that Constantine ignores defense if there's leech out there, and also has got a passive where if he kills someone from demon spawn or night revs or undead, then they stay dead, but only when Vlad's around. This is, the two together could be disgusting for the arena. You know, if you're thinking about how many duchesses there are in arena defenses, you've got someone here applying the debuff and pushing back a duchess's turn meter. You then need another decreased defense champion going in between them, and then all of a sudden he's going to kill a duchess and she will stay dead. So that's kind of cool, but as I say, very difficult. It's quite a lot of setup to do it, and it's difficult to make it happen. Okay, let's do the damage test. So what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to quickly hit with my Ethos, who is built in Savage gear, has got 5k attack, 264 crit damage. Then I'm going to move his gear onto Vlad, and you can see the type of work that they do. Okay, test bed's going to be Dragon 20. I could just show you the numbers on the spreadsheet, honestly, I could. But I prefer doing it this way. I prefer doing it the old-fashioned way, where we actually throw people into the mix and we have a look at the numbers. We actually get some inside gratification around doing this sort of thing, rather than just showing you a spreadsheet, which we could do. So we're going to show you Ethos's big smack, A3. Let's slow this down. A3 does, what, 220 odd K. Let me show you his A2 as well. So we've got 220k to contend with. And Ethos is known as, like, not the best, but a high-level nuker. Yeah, he's kind of like the next tier down from a Trunder, albeit he's void, so he can hit anyone. So a lot of people do like an Ethos in, you know, set up, ready to go. A2 then is a, let's just slow it down, is a multi-hit, and we've got, like, I think 50 to 60 odd K per hit. Let me just check. I think he hits 3 times. Let me just check that. 3 times, yeah. So we're talking about 150 to 180k A2 and about a 220k A3 that we got to compete with. So I didn't mention it earlier, but Vlad's actually got a really good base set of defense and okay attack and okay health. But he's got very good base speed. So it's easier to build him in that kind of go second role probably than it is to build him as the full damage nuker. But we put him up here in the same gear that Ethos is wearing, but obviously with his own jewelry. He has got 4.7-ish K attack, which is about the same multiplier as Ethos because his base attack is lower. And we got 267 crit damage. So it's a good test. Probably worth showing you his masteries at this point as well, which I've gone for. So we've done damage masteries with Helm Smasher. Yes, let's move me out of the way. We've got crit damage here. We've got more damage when we're full health here. More damage when we hit someone for the first time. More damage against high HP. Helm Smashers to proc. So basically the same masteries as Ethos is running for damage purposes. Let's take a look at what he can do. Stage 20 again as our kind of test bed. Here we go. Here we go, Vlad. What have you got to offer? What have you got to offer? So 150 to 180 is the A2 we're competing with. 220 is the A3. Get the same debuffs out there. Same buffs out there. Same... Oh, like, this is the best damage he's ever going to do. Don't forget, because we've got damage multipliers coming in from Bad L, from Gerptuck. We've got decreased defense and weaken out, which means we hit harder. We've got increased attack on. Like, this is as good as this hit will ever get. It won't hit as hard as this in the arena. Slow this bad boy down. A2 is what we need to hit hard. Don't let us down, Vlad. Don't let us down. The animation is cool. 150 to 220. Quite a wide spread because basically it's like a 10% up or down. So 220 is his like max hit there. 150 was min hit. So he's probably around a 190k, 185k roughly midpoint. I mean, it's good damage, actually. It's pretty damn good damage. This is what they buffed. They buffed his damage multiplier. And I'd say, I mean, it's kind of... I'm just going to run it one more time. It kind of feels like they've put him in line really with an Ethos. Not far off an Ethos for damage. So that is pretty damn juicy, actually. It's way better than it was when I first tested him. Let's just come out again, see what we're doing here. Pop in. Yeah, like 200. It feels like 200 to 206k is like the baseline. So he's a little bit below the Ethos A3, which is the Ethos Cannon, but he's above the base of the Ethos A2. It's not bad. It's not bad for someone who brings a bunch of utility. Don't forget, Ethos is just a hitter. Doesn't bring any utility. So let's see what his A1 and A3 look like and what they can do. Let's get our stuff going again. Okay, A3. Don't forget, so we would apply the decreased defense ourselves on the first hit. We're not obviously this time, so I've already set it up. But pop 120, 94. And he gets his buff up. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. I'm going to try actually. Let's just take Lydia out. Let's take, in fact, let's just run. Just do this. All I'm thinking here is let's just see what he does before he gets all of his buffs up himself. So he would drop the defense of an enemy. Then he would hit, if I got enough accuracy, actually. I have 44 into 52. Weirdly, it should spike more than that, which makes me think that his first hit is harder than his second hit. But decreased defense into block active skills. I mean, even if it didn't hit everyone, but the second hit just spread those debuffs, he would be a much more solid champion for me, because these two debuffs are really, really solid. Really solid debuffs, but a single target is just a little bit lacking. It's just a little bit lacking for me. Let's see what happens with his A1. Increase attack again. A1. It's also worth saying here, like, what we got? High elf, high elf. So we should see that turn meter fill as well. I didn't really check it. Or turn meter steal from these guys on his A2. So yeah, boost turn meter, boost turn meter, boost turn meter. Have another turn. Thank you very much. And then we'll do his A2 here. Get a drop defense out there. Whack, whack. Let's just keep us moving. And then we get back to another turn before they do, because of all this turn meter shenanigan going on. A1 then, what we got on his own. Pop 44k A1. So all of his abilities hit for a decent amount. Yeah, they're not crazy. His A2 is kind of hard hitting, but not crazy. And you would need to kind of pick your moments in terms of where that turn meter steal becomes really effective. Like, I mean, Dragon 20 specifically, it's really effective for. So, you know, I could see someone who is mid-game getting a ton of use from him kind of rotating his abilities really quick. But obviously, there's no boss in the game where he will get turn meter steal from. He will just be dropping turn meter with that A2. So, can he do damage? Yeah, he can. Is he going to be built for damage? I don't think so. I think you end up building him as a bit of a hybrid. And I'm going to change his build up now to a more realistic build to what I think people will actually use him for. So I feel like we'll end up seeing him built a bit more like this. So good amount of speed, still damage in his build, but higher HP to stay alive. Enough accuracy to always land his debuffs in stuff like wave content, you know, Doom Tower, that type of thing. So I've gone for crit damage set. Doesn't need to be a crit damage set. It's just what I built him in. He was already in this stuff. I've tried to crit cap him, but I've also then looked for speed, HP percent. I've got crit damage gloves, but in perception gear. We've got double set of perception to get the accuracy up. Yeah, I've got HP chest. So it's more about finding ways to boost his accuracy whilst keeping a bit of damage in his kit. I've gone for health on the ring, health on the chest, yeah, to get his survivability stats up. I've still kept the crit damage on the amulet, and then I've switched into an accuracy banner with some survivability stats and a little bit of speed. So I feel like that's kind of where he'll end up in most people's accounts. And you see here, I've kind of switched to this War Master style build, more like you would see for Clan Boss or wave content. And think about him going as you'll go second in the arena. You know, Shield Breaker becomes really effective then because you might be up against shields. So he's kind of being boosted to go second. He then applies his leech ability, his A2, which pushes their turn meter back. If you were playing him just as an arena champion, you'd probably end up actually going full accuracy build and forget any damage at all. This is more like a hybrid for doing general content and then maybe as like an arena champion as well. If you were going pure arena, then you would go for something more like this, where it's like pure accuracy build into, you know, pushing that turn meter back and applying your leech. Yeah, so if you don't pure arena, you forget damage completely, honestly. You could do a tickle of damage, but you forget damage completely. You go fast and you push accuracy and you make sure that turn meter drop happens so that your next champ can come in and lower defense, and then your next champ can come in and blow everybody up. So that's kind of, and that's really where I think he will end up being played the most. Interestingly, I've already got Nephril, who, that's exactly the role I use Nephril for. High accuracy, high speed, and he has got a turn meter decrease by 75%, not 50, 75. Yeah, he already does this, and he already hits reasonably hard with it. It's basically the same style of champion. Does he help you in Faction Wars endgame? Yeah, he does. That turn meter drop against the undead faction boss is great. So, you know, Vlad against the undead faction boss, dropping his turn meter, putting decreased defense out there for you when there's very few champions that are good for decreased defense, and giving you a leech to heal back from. Actually, for Faction Wars, he's going to be great. Yeah, so anyone who's struggling with this faction, he will be very good for it. Okay, let's just show him off in some general wave content. Okay, so I've just literally pumped us up. Floor 83. I've randomly picked a floor on Hard Doom Tower. And you can see here, I've just picked a team that's got a drop defense. Really cool champion now in Tomb Lord. Tomb Lord's damage, or Tomb Lord is our damage, really. His poison will do most of the damage for the waves. We've got stuns here. We've got turn meter drop and leech here. We've got healing here. And we've got speed up and healing here. So it's very much a kind of team that's built around controlling the enemy in terms of their speed. In fact, damn, they're quick. Can we even get the job done? So you see, we push their turn meter back. Gives us time to get some of our abilities away. And obviously, we've got provokes out there from Vogoth. We've got some stunnage coming out from Seal. He's doing okay levels of damage there, like 20 odd K. I mean, if you compare it to everyone else in this team, no one's really hitting hard, 4.5K. You know, this is high level Hard Doom Tower. You don't hit anyone hard. You do all your damage through either a seer or through things like HP burns or poisons. Okay, so you've just got to stay in the game long enough to get that type of stuff away. And things like the leech out there, you know, this is what I mean around leech being pretty useful. But when you get to this level, you're only hitting for 3 or 4K. 30% of 3 or 4K, you're only healing for 1K. It's not that juicy. The places where the heal becomes good from a leech is places like bosses, any boss encounter. So for wave content, you think AoE leech, that's going to be great. Actually, it's a mediocre heal. Get more heal from Seal having a turn than you do from actually hitting. See that? Healed for like 400, 800. It's nothing really. But it could be the difference between you survive in the wave or not. So, look. Is he good for this? I think he actually is. I think his turn meter drop is helpful. I think his AoE leech is okay. I think his decreased defense is okay. I just wish he had another AoE skill, honestly. If his A3 was AoE, damn, we've got a champion. Yeah, we've got a good, like, someone I'd be like, go for this guy. He's amazing. Right now, I'm just kind of like, he's good-ish. Like, if I pulled him from a Void Shard as my first Void Legendary, I'm kind of like, he feels more like a normal Legendary. Doesn't feel to me like a Void Legendary. So that's the mistake, is that it's not that he's a bad champion, because he's actually got quite a lot going on in his kit that's interesting. I just don't feel like he's Void Legendary standard for me. And, you know, there's plenty of Void Legendaries that I would rather get than this dude. It's, you know, especially when you kind of consider like normal legendaries are already doing anything he's doing and some, really. You know, you put Mashold into that bracket, you could put Nephril into that bracket. You know, people that are kind of doing the same thing, either just as effectively or better as standard legendaries, not voids. So it feels like they wanted to throw a void in there because they thought it'd be a sexy thing to do. But they didn't really give him a void legendary skill set. But you can see, like, just about with this style of team, and I've not pre-played this or pre-tested any of this. I literally just thought I'd throw a team together. You can see that we're just about battling our way through these waves. It is tough. It's not like we're kind of clearing it easy. And we're about to push the turn meter back. Did some turn meter fill on one of the enemies here. So we kind of get back to our next ability quick. And this is basically what you're going to find in all wave content. There'll be the odd champion that fits his turn meter still, but he does push everyone's turn meter back. You know, I would rather you didn't have that faction thing going on and it was just a 100% turn meter pushback. Or, yeah, I don't know. Or, you know, it just feels like it's too random. It's too random to get massive benefit from. Unless you purely play him as an arena champion. But this is what you're going to see in general wave content. Is he bringing anything to big bosses? He's giving you a leech. He's giving you a drop defense. So 2 good abilities, honestly. But yeah, in terms of like specific Doom Tower bosses, you know, we've got no HP burn, no block revive here. So he's not bringing the key things. You know, he does bring the turn meter pushback against all of the enemies. He does bring a decreased defense against the boss, albeit it gets sucked away by the little dudes unless you kill them. You know, it does bring a leech to heal from, but none of the core mechanics are covered. And it's kind of the same with all the bosses, really. Not bad here, because he's not bringing any of the nastiness that you don't want to apply, and he brings a drop defense and a leech. It's okay. He brings your decreased max HP here, but no shield mechanic, so he kind of brings half of what you want. You know, he does bring, I guess he brings turn meter pushback and decreased max HP, so he's probably one of the best legendaries out there, as long as you've got a shield champion in the mix. So actually, maybe for Scarab, that's pretty damn solid. In fact, we're showing against Scarab. I'll go through the others quickly, though. Agrif, an AoE hit is not ideal when the spiderlings are around. So, you know, you're only really bringing there a bit of turn meter drop, which will bring poisons onto you. It's okay. It's not great. Yeah, so this rotation, you know, okay, but nothing amazing. You know, we're talking about other bosses like Bommel. No, not really. If we're talking about the new Dark Fae, actually, an AoE turn meter pushback is really useful if he is ready to go on the A2 when you hit the full enemy wave. It's actually one of the best abilities you could do. But to do that, you can't really do it on auto. So, you know, he does kind of work pretty nicely in that situation. Then you apply the drop defense on her and start doing the damage. And he's pushing turn meter back on the boss every 3 turns. That's actually pretty good. So there are some Doom Tower bosses that he's going to be pretty strong for. But I think Scarab Boss is probably going to be his best spot, honestly. So let's just remember the rules. You need someone who's going to apply a shield. They need to be your fastest champion in your rotation. And they need to be able to apply a shield for the same number of turns as your cooldown. So Miscreated Monster is one of those. Metal Shaper. Doesn't matter if the shield's the tiniest shield in the land. It just needs to apply for the same number of turns as the cooldown. Okay. We've got Armageddon just dropping defense. We've got a shield set champion so that when you approach the Scarab Boss, you can actually play it on auto. With decreased speed on Stagnite is helpful as well. If Vlad had decreased speed, he would actually be almost like spot on for this encounter, to be honest. A decreased speed on his A1 would help him a lot in terms of me thinking he's awesome. Or on his A3 even. Doesn't matter. Like, get rid of the block active skills, put decreased speed in its place. All of a sudden, he's got way more relevance to most bosses. So then we got turn meter feel and stuff here, and a turn meter drop here. So let's play it through, see how we get on, and see how beneficial he is. So in my setup, he's replacing my Allure, basically. So obviously the waves, this is hard Doom Tower, pretty high level, and the waves get demolished by him. He is taking a chunk of damage from those damn war chiefs, which are annoying. But we should get through it fine. A couple of stuns out there helping us along the way. Gets a nice bit of health regen from his A1. Just to help him through. We really do not want Scarab Boss to take a turn. So he's just used his decreased turn meter. That's a bad sign for us. Here's the puny shield. There's our turn meter drop from Lysandra. Decreased speed's already on, which is beautiful. And then at this point, we're relying on keeping turn meter down, obviously, but also there's his turn meter drop pop. So he only does 25% instead of 50 against the big boy bosses like this, but it's still not bad. And he supplied a leech as well. Not really that it matters because we're all about these big shields, but he's doing the decreased max HP on his A1. And that's really where we're getting the main benefit from him, is that decreased max HP. So you probably, if you're running someone like a Stag, who's bringing you drop defense anyway, you probably would just turn his A3 off and just have him doing his A2 turn meter drop and his A1. I don't know if we've got a resist in here somewhere because they're about to take a turn and now we're in a load of trouble and now we're going to be dead. I guess we either got a resist or we were not quick enough. Not saying he's unusable here because he's clearly usable, but even with a team that is kind of specialized to build in this way, if I just replace Vlad with a lure there, I do it easily. Even though that's really one of his best roles, he's still just straight up beaten by someone who's just going to pound turn meter away in a destroy set. You know, Armageddon in the destroy set outdoes him for the fight because you just absolutely just need to beat turn meter down. Beating down max HP against the high levels is not the key to winning. It's just turn meter. So is he going to be good for you, helping you progress through that stuff? Yes. Is he going to be the best champion in the game for it? I mean, no, he's not. No, he's not. Okay, then. So we're going to finish with how I actually think he's going to be played. Yeah, for anyone who's actually playing the game with any sort of, you know, serious mentality. 6 pieces of perception, accuracy main stat for his masteries, and then go second in the arena. So fast, high accuracy champion, and basically he's just going to be setting up your arena nukers. So let's have a go against Chosen here. I don't know how fast Chosen is actually, but kind of relying on me being fast enough. Take these out. So Vlad's coming in here. Still Trunda coming in as my nuke. And it's basically, I'm quick. I push his turn meter back. And then I blow him up. That's where, you know, and if there's a duo like this in the team, even better. Let me just control it for the first one. So if we got the duo like Arbiter and Liss here, even better because we're going to steal their turn meter. Pop. Loads of turn meter steal coming back my way. He still doesn't go first because he's stolen 100%. My Trunda was already over 100%. So, you know, my Trunda has her first go at blowing them up. If somehow she doesn't succeed, then he goes again with his A3. So that's where I think most people will play him. The trouble you've got is, you know, if you're up against someone else here, like another plat level player, this is more like what you see as plat teams. And obviously, now if we consider our enemies, no, none of these enemies are going to give us any turn meter steal, but we are going to be able to push them back. Let's just auto it slowly. See what he does an auto, actually. Should do that A2, yeah. Push back all their turn meter, yes. Counter-attack coming off. And then with no decreased defense, these are really low resistance, but no decreased defense. Okay, we just allow Trunda a chance. But what I'm replacing this with here, and then we try and nuke, it's not quite enough. What I'm replacing... Oh, you got to do the kill there. He's got to kill there, and he's not got enough damage in his build to kill. And then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose because all of the revivers are still going. Yeah? Again, we push turn meter back. We actually got resist here. 1 left. And we're probably going to do it. We'll get a drop defense from him, which is nice. Trunda clears up. So it's actually not a bad time. What was it? 1 minute and 4. It's not a terrible time in terms of like clearing out a high level team with a load of revivers and annoying champions. But obviously you're swapping someone here that would just be a decreased defense champion for someone who's pushing turn meter back. And at high level play, that's not what's going to happen. This won't be a high level player, but for the average Joe, you know, on my free to play, it's not a bad technique to let you make sure you have a turn. But it does rely on you being fast enough. If we were to find, I don't know who's quicker than me here. If we were to find someone quicker than me that's built to go fast, maybe, I don't know if Kid Gamer is or not. pretty much because he's not tanky enough or doesn't have any inbuilt mechanic to stay alive. So as soon as we're locked out here like this, we're dead. There's no coming back from it. We're absolutely dead. He doesn't give me anything to reignite my team. And his passive is built around him killing stuff. Well, the main build you're going to use him for doesn't really kill stuff. So, I mean, we're going to end up trying to save the day. But not because of anything other than Trunda being a beast. Yeah. So, look, guys. Is he going to be an awesome champion to get through wave content and, you know, take on various dungeons and what have you? He's going to be an okay champ. Yeah, he's going to come in and give you the wave leech, the wave AoE hit, and then against the bosses, he's going to give you a decreased defense. That's it. That's it. He doesn't bring multiple hits for Fire Knight. He doesn't bring any poisons for Dragon. He doesn't bring an AoE drop defense. He doesn't bring, you know, that much for Spider. There's no HP burn for Spider. There's nothing specific. I don't feel like he's relevant, super relevant anywhere other than the arena. And in the arena, he's just kind of like outshadowed by a lot of champions. So for me, they buffed his multipliers. They should have changed his kit. That's what I think. They buffed his multipliers. It's the wrong idea because he's not based around damage. He's based around control and debuffing. We didn't need harder hits player him. We needed a better kit for Avoid Legendary. So that's my analysis. I've been Hell Hades. I will see you later.